What just unfolded in the WWE Universe is nothing short of seismic. A moment that rewrites the rules and reshapes the power dynamics between two of the industry's most imposing figures, Bronson Reed, the colossal powerhouse from Australia, and Brock Lesnar, the Beast Incarnate, a man whose name alone has long been synonymous with dominance and terror inside the squared circle. The story that emerged last night was more than a simple comeback or payback match. It was a carefully orchestrated, brutally executed act of vengeance that left the WWE locker room and fans around the world utterly stunned. Setting the stage, the aftermath of a one-sided beating. Just 2 weeks earlier, the WWE Universe had collectively witnessed what many considered a one-sided slaughter. Brock Lesnar had unleashed his full fury on Bronson Reed in a backstage confrontation that felt more like a public execution than a wrestling feud. The big man from Australia was reduced to a rag doll, tossed around with a dismissiveness that seemed almost disrespectful. Lesnar, with his UFC-honed ferocity and raw physical power, demolished Reed in a manner that shook fans to their core. The image of the colossal Bronson lying beaten and broken was seared into the minds of everyone watching. Fast forward to last night, and the roles couldn't have been more reversed. Bronson Reed was no longer the victim. He became the predator, executing a level of calculated, ruthless revenge that went far beyond the typical wrestling rematch. This wasn't just retaliation, it was a message, a declaration that the Beast Incarnate was not untouchable, and that Bronson Reed had arrived as a force to be reckoned with. The moment of impact. Ambush in the backstage corridor. The scene was set during what was supposed to be an ordinary backstage interview segment. Kathy Kelly, a familiar face in WWE's media wing, was conducting routine interviews with mid-card wrestlers about upcoming storylines. The atmosphere was calm, almost mundane, but then a sudden flickering of the corridor lights hinted at the storm about to erupt. For anyone familiar with WWE's production cues, flickering lights backstage signal more than a technical glitch. They foreshadow chaos, tension, and often violence. What no one was prepared for was the sight of Brock Lesnar himself, striding down that hallway like a force of nature. Behind him, Paul Heyman, Lesnar's ever-present advocate and strategist, was glued to his phone, presumably orchestrating Lesnar's next dominance spree. But then, out of nowhere, Bronson Reed stepped from the shadows. Not with hesitation or fear, but standing tall and imposing, a mountain of muscle blocking the path of the man who had just brutalized him weeks earlier. Reed's 330 pounds of raw power and fury created an immovable barrier. The psychological warfare, Reed's calculated approach. What made this moment so electrifying and frankly chilling wasn't just Bronson Reed's sheer size or physical presence. It was the psychological weight his stance carried. Reed wasn't simply standing in Brock Lesnar's way. He was planting a mental flag, daring the Beast Incarnate to face him on his own turf. For years, Lesnar has dominated WWE like an unstoppable force, bulldozing through opponents without hesitation or challenge. The man's very presence commands a kind of fearful respect, and more often than not, the path before him clears without resistance. But this time, the expression on Lesnar's face told a different story. It was a rare mix of shock and disbelief, a crack in the armor of a man who usually seems impenetrable. Lesnar was used to being the aggressor, the predator, never the prey. Seeing Bronson Reed stand firm, immovable like a mountain blocking his path, unsettled the beast more than anyone expected. Paul Heyman, ever the strategist and Lesnar's closest ally, sensed the danger immediately. His eyes widened and he instinctively took a step back, as if signaling, "This is different. This is serious." The air thickened with tension, silence pressing down on the hallway like a physical weight. The battle begins. A clash of titans. Lesnar, true to his ferocious nature, wasted no time reacting. The beast lunged forward with the force and ferocity that fans have come to expect. A savage predator cornered, snarling and ready to tear down whatever stands before him. He shoved Reed hard, trying to intimidate the challenger into backing down. But Reed didn't flinch. If anything, his eyes burned brighter with focus. He was no longer just a powerful man. He was a tactician, a student of the Beast's moves, and he was ready. When Lesnar went for one of his signature takedown attempts, a move honed through years in MMA and professional wrestling, Reed was ready. He anticipated Lesnar's movement like a chess master predicting his opponent's next move. With precise timing, Reed twisted Lesnar's momentum, turning the attempted assault into an opening for a crushing knee strike. That knee connected hard, and Lesnar staggered, not because of injury, but because of the shock. This was a crack in the invincible facade, a moment when the Beast Incarnate's overwhelming confidence wavered. It was clear. Bronson Reed was no longer the lumbering underdog who got tossed around weeks ago. He was a calculated predator who had done his homework and was ready to exploit every weakness. The brutality unleashed, precision and pain. What followed was an assault unlike anything WWE had seen in recent memory. But it wasn't a chaotic brawl filled with reckless swings and over-the-top theatrics. No, Bronson Reed's attack was surgical. Every strike, every punch, every move was carefully calculated to inflict maximum damage, and it showed. One of the most unforgettable moments came when Reed grabbed a steel chair. Chair shots in WWE are a common sight, but Reed's use of the chair was anything but typical. Instead of wild, sweeping swings, he wielded it like a surgeon's instrument, targeting specific points with chilling precision. The first shot landed hard on Lesnar's ribs, forcing an audible grunt of pain that echoed through the microphones. The second clang against Lesnar's back was like the crack of a hammer on metal, causing Lesnar to double over. But the third hit, aimed squarely at Lesnar's left knee, was the real game changer. The Beast went down, his mobility compromised, and the aura of invincibility beginning to unravel. The fallout. Shockwaves. Through WWE and beyond, the aftermath was unlike anything the WWE Universe had witnessed in years. Medical teams rushed to aid Lesnar, whose vulnerability was stark and undeniable. Images of the once indomitable Beast being stretchered away spread like wildfire, shaking fans and commentators alike. Social media erupted with reactions ranging from stunned disbelief to awe at Reed's calculated intensity. Wrestling legends who rarely dipped their toes into current storylines felt compelled to weigh in. Stone Cold. Steve Austin's succinct praise, "That's how you get revenge," resonated deeply with fans who respect ruthless payback. Mick Foley, no stranger to brutal battles himself, offered a more thoughtful take. He highlighted the rare blend of intellect and raw aggression Reed displayed, noting that this wasn't just about strength, it was about strategy, patience, and execution. Even The Rock, who typically stays above the fray, chimed in with respect for Reed's warrior spirit, acknowledging that even the mightiest beasts can fall to those who refuse to quit. The new landscape. Lesnar's vulnerability and Reed's rise. For years, Brock Lesnar's character has been built on a myth of invincibility. He was the unstoppable beast who crushed all challengers, a man whose dominance was rarely questioned. But the events of that night shattered that myth, revealing a rare vulnerability that changes everything. This vulnerability opens the door to countless narrative possibilities. Will Lesnar seek redemption, training harder, sharpening his skills, and hunting Reed for a rematch? Or will other wrestlers, smelling weakness, line up to take their shots at the fallen giant? Meanwhile, Bronson Reed's transformation is complete. No longer just the powerful underdog, he is now a calculating, dangerous predator, a wrestler with a mind as sharp as his fists. His rise is a thrilling story of resilience, intelligence, and raw determination. The WWE Universe stands on the brink of a new era, one where the line between hunter and hunted is blurred, and where every fight carries the promise of unpredictable, brutal drama.